Welcome to UUCC, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Canandaigua. We are a group of spiritual freethinkers who gather to celebrate life, build community, and better the world. Wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. I'm Carrie Graff, your worship associate for this morning, and today's service is a special one featuring your many gifts. I like that it's potluck Sunday in terms of food for afterwards, right? We have second Sunday is always potluck meal afterwards, but this is potluck service, which is a little smattering of everything in our community this morning, and super fun. So this is going to be an intergenerational service, so the kids are invited to stay, and they can share as well, and they're welcome to visit the Wiggle Zone if anybody gets a wiggle need. If this is your first visit, welcome. We invite you to sign the visitor's log in the entryway, and whether this is your first visit or your 1,000th, we are so glad that you came. The service is also being live streamed on our YouTube channel, and we plan with continuing on the hybrid worship with services here in person and on Zoom throughout the church year, so you can also join us later on YouTube. Okay, so I've got a few announcements to share with you today. If you have a joy or sorrow, please fill out the card on your chair. We invite you to bring them forward and place them in the basket after Bill rings the chimes and begins to play. And you can also come forward and when you come forward, you can drop a pebble or a shell into the column of water if there's something that you want to honor. And if you've got something that you don't want to share, that you don't want your name on, you can mark on it that you want to have it read but not shared with your name. Other announcements for today. Please stay afterwards for the potluck. Whether you brought a dish to share or not, there's always plenty of food, and it's always really fun to visit with all of our quirky people at the church here. Friday, March 22nd will be dinner church. It's the fourth Friday of each month, and we gather at 5:30 and enjoy dinner and worship services at 6. And then you can stay after that. It's a short service. Stay after that for games and some community time. Okay, are there any other announcements for the good of the community? Ooh, yeah, Eileen.
Good morning. I have an announcement from the RE team, which is that we will have an Easter egg hunt, weather pending, on Saturday, March 30th, which is the day before Easter, outside here at church, if the weather allows, and it's open to the community, so please feel free to invite some friends. And we are also, for the next couple of weeks until then, collecting candy donations to fill our many Easter eggs. So if you would like to donate some individually wrapped candies, you can leave them at the welcome table in the back between now and March 30th. Thank you.
Brandon?
Okay. Next week, we are going to be wearing masks here at church. Our presenter is a guest, and they are immunocompromised, and so they will be masking, and they asked if we could please mask, and we said that we could do that. So so if you think of it, grab that mask and stick it in your pocket. But if you don't, we will have masks here to get in the box. Thank you.
Just wanted to announce that we have our board meeting coming up on this Tuesday at 6:30. It's through Zoom, so if anyone has any items that they'd like the board to address, things to discuss or bring before the board, please reach out to me, Brandon Steele, and I can include that on the agenda. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. As we prepare to be fully together, I remind you to silence your phones and any other device that's going to bing or buzz. We now enter a space of worship. And now is the time to bring forward any joys or sorrows. Paula, would you like to come up and light the flame? A little help from Mom? Please join us in our cellist lighting words. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest of truth and meaning, and celebration of the life we share. Hoping we don't set up our fire alarm, our smoke alarm. There's a lot of smoke today.
All right. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us today for our second Potluck for the Soul service. I'm Danielle Lyon, one of the worship coordinators, and the plan this morning is to work together to build community by sharing our different gifts and interests, including music, art, magic, movement, teaching, listening, and dancing. Thank you to everyone who signed up for a time slot this morning. It's a brave thing to do, but wonderful to be part of community where we can all come as ourselves. It's unlikely everything will go perfectly as planned, but I trust you all to keep this space open and supportive. Thank you, Bill, for working with me on an opening song for this morning. Dar Williams is one of my favorite singer-songwriters, and her song, The Mercy of the Fallen, reminds me of how beautiful it can be to journey together, searching for answers and supporting each other, but not insisting that any one way is the right one. Oh, my fair North Star, I have held to you dearly. I had asked you to steer me till one cloud scattered night. I got lost in my travels. I met Leo the lion, met a king and met a giant with their errant light. There's the wind and the rain and the mercy of the fallen who say they have no claim to know what's right. There's the weak and the strong and the beds that have no answers, and that's where I may rest my head tonight. I saw all the bright people in imposing flocks they landed, and they got what they demanded, and they scratched at the ground, and then flew, and the fields grew as sweetly for the flightless, who had longing, yet despite this, they could hear every sound. There's the wind and the rain and the mercy of the fallen, who say they have no claim to know what's right. And if your sister or your brother were stumbling on their last mile in a self-inflicted exile, you'd wish for them a humble friend. And I hope someday that the best of Falstaff's planners Give me 7 half-built manors where half dreams can dream without end. There's the wind and the rain and the mercy of the fallen who say, hey, it's not my place to know what's right. There's the weak and the strong and the many stars that guide us. We have some of them inside us.
And now we have Maria.
This is Mrs. We're a little excited and a little nervous, but we practiced this. Okay, I'm gonna get in front while you set up, ready? Okay, there's some magic tricks for you. I'm going to cover this space so you can't see because the magician never reveals their secret.
Do you want me to stand while you help her set up?
Sure, we can do
Okay.
like a demonstration.
Yeah.
Nothing is going on. Nothing at all. Okay. No. There you go. Really need some help. Okay, we're ready? Okay. Wait.
Wait, I have one set up.
She's doing here. She said, so you see I have these 2 red dice. Everything average. Okay, do you have another trick for me? Oh. Hi, everybody. So we have a red ring in her hand. Do you have any more magic tricks for us? Oh. You need to leave the magic wand here. Do you have your magic wand on you? No? Oh, we lost the magic wand again. What are we gonna do? You're gonna grow it out? Oh. Wait, okay, abracadabra. One more trick? Oh, okay. Yeah, because I think it's hard to. So, what do you want? Okay, can Paul wait to do that now? Okay. No, okay. Okay. We'll try one.
Yeah.
You got it. Is that all your? Thank you. When you're done. Okay.
And now we have the Steele family.
We're gonna sing the chicken song and then we're gonna play it. Wish I was a chicken. Wish I was a chicken. Chicken still a kicking. Wish I was a chicken. 2 days straight on a plate. Wish I was a chicken.
Now is our time in the service to join together in this. Oh, we got another one.
Continuing.
Oh, sorry, did not realize that. Okay. Sorry, Elliot.
Sorry, dear.
Bring some things too. There. Oh.
Multi-phase Steele family presentation.
So first, I will show you how to buckle my feet into the boots. Next. But now I'm going to show you how we buckle. First, then you look back, and then you put it on the back of that ribbon. Five. Under here, at first, doing from tight little speed of everything, slow the rest. Nose of the scale on the feet. So that is the number of higher that and is how much you weigh. A good one if you don't want your skis going up and you couldn't jump, otherwise you'll go off. And then these are my 2 elements. This one's under 50 anymore. And this is much further right now. Unless mine don't. No, it's in my house. You don't go to that.
You want to look out now?
Well, these are all the stickers. Yeah.
Well, we just had snow.
And we go together from that. Now I'm gonna transfer photos.
Maybe they can come and see it now.
How do you take them off, Elliot? Show us how you take them off.
Don't draw that one.
Now it's the time in the service to join together in the spiritual practice of generosity. Our gifts of both time and money support our church in its work. Each week, we like to highlight a specific group or committee and thank them for their gift of time. This week, I'm going to highlight buildings and grounds, especially grounds, because as winter is over, there's some cleanup to be done to get ready for spring. And people who are interested in finding out more about buildings and grounds and the gardens can contact Kevin House or Ken or Brandon Steele, who are here today, or Lynn Cronise, who's not here today. So 1/4 of our plate collection for the muddy season goes to Sustainable Finger Lakes, a community-based organization whose mission is to promote the long-term well-being of our region by integrating social equity, economic vitality, ecological stewardship, and shared responsibility. You can give to this morning's offering by placing cash or a check in the basket or by one of the options on the screen. Please make a note that your gift is intended for today's offering, and we now gratefully accept the offering. And now music from Ken.
Morning.
Morning, Ken.
I'm a little discombobulated with this time change, so I'm here. First, I'd like to share with you a little memoir. 5 years ago, Lynn Cronise mentioned that there was a memoir class meeting at the Bristol Library, in Bristol Center. And I've been going there ever since. And so I am a published writer because we publish them in these books. And so I'd like to share one little brief thing I wrote. It's called The Gift of Galanthus. I didn't have depression. Depression had me. It was official. I had the classic symptoms, but I especially suffered day in, day out with a sense of foreboding and hopelessness. After days of isolation in this dark world, I decided to get off the couch and go for an early spring walk around the block. Trudge, 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 trudge. Hey, what's that? Along the sidewalk, there were little bell-shaped white flowers poking their droopy heads out of the melting snow. I discovered later they're called galanthus, commonly known as snowdrops. Ding! A tiny bell of joy rang inside me. As I stood there, I felt a warm sense of gratitude for whoever planted these dinky fellers. I turned around, headed back home to my safety zone, carrying with me a tiny bulb of hope. And now I have another miracle for you. My UU choir is here today. You're here to help me. I wrote a song called Pick Up the Litter. And you're going to help me with this if you would. As many of you know, there's a refrain that repeats the hook. So it goes pick it up, pick it up. That's simple, right? Pick it up. Pick it up. You're doing great. Pick it up. Pick it up. Pick it up. Pick it up. So it's like the doo-wop. All right, so I also need help. That's like the bass part. Pick it up. Pick it up. Pick it up. Pick it up. And then the other part goes, pick it up. Pick up the litter. Pick it up. Then you feel better. Pick it up. Do it all the while. Pick it up. Do it with a smile, pick it up. Pick up the litter, pick it up. Then you feel better, pick it up. Do it all the while, pick it up. do the smile. Going for a walk, or I'm on bike, or maybe you're riding your hike. Yeah. You see a litter on the ground, just bend down. You pick it up, you pick up the litter, and you feel better. Do it all the while. Do it with a smile. Don't be afraid. Get your hands dirty. What you doing? It's so worthy. You got time. Don't be in a hurry. Just bend down to the ground and pick it up. You pick up that litter, and then you feel better. Do it all the while. Do it with a smile. Yeah. Yeah, picking it up. I don't know why they dropped it here. Makes you want to curse. I don't know how it got there. But I think about Mother Earth to pick it up. Oh, I pick up the litter. Oh, then I feel so much better. I do it all the while. Try to do it with a smile. Pick it up.
All right, so apparently we never actually passed around the basket. So now it's coming around, but I'm gonna.
Not
It's
till next
not
week.
quite as hard as
Next
hard
week.
yet, but almost. We're almost there. We've just got a couple of joys and sorrows today. A joy from the Mel's family that they got to see Footloose at Canandaigua Academy the night Emma played Rusty. And a sorrow from Michelle Chapla. This has been going on for quite a while, a couple of weeks. Her daughter Aurora has been struggling with health issues with minimal success with the healthcare provider she's been working with. And she's had some neck issues at a very young age. So prayers for her good health and long-term are requested. I will now drop a pebble in for any joys and sorrows that are left in our hearts this morning. And if we could just say together, we are with you. We are with you. And now it's time for Scobie and some music and movement.
That snow is
See, you wish and it comes, right?
Can I play more of it? Sure.
Hold on for a second.
Not yet.
So we are not only a group of free thinkers. We are also a group of free movers. Who's gonna move with me? There. I don't really need a microphone.
I think she's thinking of the Zoom people. She's thinking of the Zoom people being able to hear you.
Oh.
If I just put this over here, I think you can hear.
Well,
Okay.
basically, you have to just use your mirror neurons. You watch me, you do what I'm doing?
And now I've got some words from Jeff Gretton.
So for many years, my family has had a family gathering on the 4th of July, and on that occasion, my sister would often take us out for a bird walk. And I was always very impressed with her ability to identify birds by sound. And usually I'd get interested and excited and then go home and then forget it, and that would be that. But one year, I stayed interested long enough to buy a set of CDs, and I studied those CDs through the course of the rest of that summer. I did it religiously, seriously. And by the end of that summer in the fall, I was so fed up with those CDs. I was pissed off with them, and I was ready to toss them in the trash can and forget them forever. So I put them aside, but somewhere along in February, as I went out the door to get in my car to go to work, I noticed there was a sound that I hadn't heard before. And so it happened the next day, something new, or a sound had changed, a song had changed in rhythm or tone. And so it went on for the rest of that spring. That was the most interesting spring I'd ever had, because there was this huge soundscape of activity above my head in my yard that I had never heard before. Turns out that previous summer, although it was frustrating in terms of identification, it had done a pretty good job of brain training. Turns out your brain is constantly covered with sensory information, including audio, way more than you can process in your consciousness. So your brain is pretty good at carving away all the stuff that you don't really need and letting through those signals which are important or interesting to you. And that's what had happened that previous summer to me. I had, it's also true that you can train your brain to let through information regarding an interest that you have now, but you didn't have before. And that's what had happened the previous summer for me. And it was, so that got me hooked, and I've been interested in active in that regard ever since. And it's sort of interesting to kind of look at how it happens. You can be sitting on the deck in a quiet space, listening hard, and from way down in the middle of your brain, way in there, you kind of become aware that there's something going on in that wind that isn't just wind. And you catches your attention, and you work on dredging it up and bringing it up. And certainly then it does turn into a song. And if you can get it all the way up into your consciousness, you might be able to put a direction on it. I think it's coming from over there. But I would suggest that if, in order to get there, you have to go through at least a summer of brain training. And even then, you're not guaranteed to be able to identify what you've heard. And now I would suggest we all kind of quiet and listen to what's going on around us as we enter a space of worship.
Spirit of life.
Thank you.
Kaya, you're up next.
Hello, everyone. For anyone who doesn't know, my name is Kaya Mells. Since I've grown up with epilepsy, so I thought touching on misconceptions was something important to me. One of the most common misconceptions is that all seizures involve convulsions. The fact is, seizures can present in many different ways. Some cause a person to faint and have convulsions when their body stiffens, which is when your body stiffens and jerks uncontrollably. Other seizures cause brief spells of blinking rapidly and staring off, or simply cause the person to experience strange sensations like tingling or display off behaviors like repetitive lip smacking and hand wringing. One type of seizure that I experience are gelastic seizures, which means that I laugh at unexpected or inappropriate times. Thankfully, laughing is very socially acceptable. Another myth is that epilepsy is contagious, which I don't understand how that is something people believe, when in actuality, there's no way to catch epilepsy. If someone is having a seizure, you should never put anything in someone's mouth to prevent them from choking. This could end up hurting the person more. Instead, you should gently roll the person onto one side and put something soft under his or her head and wait by their side until they become conscious. With number 4 that I believe is important is that people say you should restrain someone having a seizure, when in fact you never should hold down a person during a seizure. Holding someone down can cause a bone or muscular injury. Instead, make sure the surrounding area is clear of objects and their head is patted with something soft. During a seizure, the next myth is during a seizure, the person is in pain. During most seizures, a person is unconscious and doesn't experience any pain. However, some people may have muscle aches and can be tired after a prolonged seizure. The next myth I have is video games or strobe lights will trigger seizures. In actuality, only 3% of people with epilepsy have visual triggers. Video games with rapid flashing lights or alternating color patterns can sometimes trigger seizures, but this is very rare. This was a myth I was not aware of. Since I grew up with this very trigger, I thought it was much more common. My last myth for today is that people with epilepsy shouldn't have jobs with responsibility and stress. In fact, epilepsy is a non-discriminatory condition. People of all walks of life and at all ages experience seizures. People with seizure disorders can have successful careers in many different professions. In fact, there have been several famous people throughout history that have been diagnosed with seizures in a variety of professions. Some may be familiar with our 26th President of the United States, Theodore Roosevelt, musicians such as Prince, Elton John, and rapper Lil Wayne, and actors such as Danny Glover. I'll leave you with this quote from Danny Glover that says, "I want people with epilepsy to know that there are ways in which they can play a role in their own recovery. It's all in how they approach what is happening and how they can use that as a catalyst for their own growth. If there's one thing that I've learned, it's that people are willing to embrace you if you share your story." My final thought, because I can relate, is I found a t-shirt and it says, "My brain is experiencing technical difficulties. Please hold." Which is very personal because I can relate.
Dorothy.
So first, I want to thank Kaya for that because I have a niece who has epilepsy also. So I appreciate the contribution. So some of you know that I'm a weaver of odds and ends. And I say that because I've been learning from my materials. You think when you're going to start a new hobby, that you're going to find yourself doing something and it's just going to be really fun and you'll just go gangbusters and you'll be making things and everything will be wonderful. And then you find out that the materials you choose and the way that you work with them may have different ideas. So this is the first weaving I ever made. And you might say, "Oh, that's pretty." And the question is, what is it? So originally I thought this might be part of a piece of clothing and I was going to make a front part for it. And then I realized that it's kind of like wearing a blanket. You know, it's very fuzzy and soft. So I thought, okay, well, maybe it could be a rug. And then I realized that the yarns were soft enough that if you walked on it very much, it probably would fray. So that's why I still have it, because it gave me a lesson in material science. And here's another one. Oh, people like this. They say, "Oh, isn't that pretty?" Okay, it is pretty. It's made out of macrame yarn, the heavyweight stuff that they use for making big hangers. It weighs about 4 pounds. Okay, so it's very durable. It's really sturdy. So I gave one of these to my cousin for her lake house, but I also, just to see what would happen, I washed one. Okay, so when it's wet, it weighs 20 pounds. And it took 3 days in the sun to dry. So there's another lesson for you. So finally, I'm getting to where my materials and my objects are becoming congruent. So these are placemats. These are made out of 100% cotton strips that are woven on that kind of a loom over there, which is set up now to do some more weaving. And these are very durable also. They're so sturdy that they could be used as hot pans as well as for placemats. So I sometimes make table runners. I sometimes make a set of placemats. And what I do is I work with these, oops, sorry. I work with these side by side on the loom so that I'm working with the same materials, but I just play with it as I'm going, so they don't look identical. You know, that's part of the fun of it, is making them a little different as I go. So the lesson I have learned is that the physical world will teach you, if you're paying attention, how your art should be carried out in the real world. And you may have ideas, but the proof is in the making. Thank you.
Lennon Urin.
Well, maybe I'll start while he's fiddling.
Oh, maybe CD.
Does it come? Okay. Well, we want to tell you about some dancing that we do, which brightens our lives in so many ways. And there are two kinds of dancing that we do. One is called contra dancing, and what you're hearing now is some contra dance music. And we also do something called English country dancing. And they're alike in some ways and different in others. And they're both couple dances, but not individual couples like ballroom. They're based on figures rather than special footwork, so you don't have to worry about stepping on someone's toe or going the wrong way at the wrong time. They are community dances because you meet all the other dancers as one dance progresses. And they're organic in that everyone is part of the dance as a whole. Both kinds of dancing involve a line of couples facing his or her partner, and during the dance, each person does a series of figures with the couple beside them. And at the end of the series, each couple has progressed toward one or the other line, and then you repeat the same series of figures with another couple, and the next couple, and the next couple, and so on. If any of you have ever seen a Jane Austen movie with the dancing in it, that's how it is in the lines. However, there's much more to dancing than that. For one thing, there's the music. And contra music is more like square dance music. It's generally lively or more energetic. You get to swing your partner and others. English music is more tuneful and can have been written any time in the last 450 years. We do dances that were written in 1690, and we do dances that were written in 2020. The dancing is more elegant and stylized, which is not to say that you can't get warm doing both of them. Then the other thing that's really good about this is there's interaction between the dancers as you move along the line. COVID was not good for dancing. You can touch 100 hands in one dance. Finally, there's the community and the openness. Everyone is expected to dance with a different partner each dance. Jörn and I sometimes do the first dance together and then not again for an hour. Anyone can dance whichever role they choose, men's or women's. Often these days, callers use terms like larks and robins instead of men and women. And some people love switching the parts when they're doing them. Newcomers are welcomed and encouraged. All dancers make mistakes and everyone is forgiving. The dance just goes on. Some dancers are contra only, and some dancers do English only, and some, like us, do both. We meet dancers we know at dances in Rochester, Ithaca, and Syracuse, and dancing really brings joy to our lives. We're going to go English country dancing this afternoon at 2:30 in Rochester, so you're welcome to join us. We're going to show you a little, just a little smidgen of an English dance, which you have to imagine the whole line of people doing the same thing.
Yeah,
at the
and
same
we would
time.
normally do it with two other people, but we're just doing the whole thing. So let's see if we can get that to work.
So this is English dancing music.
So just one thing, because we decided to go to dancing this afternoon, we also had some tickets to go to the Smith in Geneva for the Syracuse Symphony Orchestra. And so we can't use them, so if anybody wants 2 free tickets for 3 o'clock in Geneva this afternoon, and it was a hard decision, but we decided to do this one because we bought it for the series. Come and see us. It's smiling and some of the stuff. And they're really good. There's probably 50 people in the orchestra. Thanks.
Thank you. Jody, music for reflection.
If you know the words and you'd like to sing along, go ahead, you'll cover up my mistakes. You know what I forgot? I forgot my glasses.
benediction today is a poem by Barbara Crooker called In the Middle. In the middle of a life that is as complicated as everyone else's, struggling for balance, juggling time, the mantle clock that was my grandfather's has stopped at 9:20. We haven't had time to get it repaired. 1 minute you look out the window, green summer, and the next, the gray sky is already lowering the horizon. Our parents, gone. Our children, almost grown. Each day we must learn to love again between mornings' quick coffee and evening's slow return. Steam from a pot of soup rises mixing with the yeasty smell of baking bread. Our bodies twine and the big black dog pokes his great head between, his tail a metronome. 3/4 time. We'll never get there. Time is always ahead of us, running down the beach, urging us on faster and faster. But sometimes we take off our watches. Sometimes we lie in the hammock, caught between the net of rope and the web of stars, suspended, tangled up in love, running out of time. Our closing hymn today is number 349, We Gather Together.
Please rise if you're willing and able, and join us to sing.
Time for potluck. Oh, gosh, we gotta extinguish the flame. Oh, how'd I screw that up? Okay, join me in extinguishing the flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are